Anytime we get an answer, you check by multiplying it out to see if it works. You can also check with your neighbor to see what they got. Okay. The reason I think this first one is like a level 1 and super easy, because when I put the brackets, when I think about the first one being 7x squared, there is only one option, 7x and x. If you're using whole numbers, we're not going to factor with decimals or fractions, we're just going to factor with whole numbers. That's your only possibility. Then you look at your last one, which is a 1. Technically, that only has one possibility too. It has to be 1 and 1. So far there's been no thinking and no worrying so far, because everything has been, the only option is 7x and x, then the only option is 1 and 1. The last thing I have to decide is that, are these both going to be plus, or are they both going to be negative, because we have a plus 1? Well, my outside is 7x, inside is 1x. I need a plus 8x. So they have to be plus as well. The next one is not so easy. The reason it's not so easy, well, the 3x squared still is easy, right? Only 3x and 3 and x give me that first one of 3x squared. But 36 has some options. So if you don't know which option is going to work, what you can do as a strategy is start with whatever you think is a possibility. Does 6 times 6 make 36? Okay? But now when I check my outside is 18x, my inside is 6x. Does 18 and 6 ever add or subtract to give 31? No. So maybe I make a note that 6 and 6 is bad. I tried one, it didn't work. Usually if you try something that doesn't work, it starts giving you a hint for what would work. So you try another one. And you might choose another one that doesn't work, or you might choose another one that works. And sometimes you have to be careful, because you could choose the right numbers in the wrong order. And I'm going to show you that. So the right numbers for this one are going to be 9 and 4. But if I put my 9 here and my 4 there, you see right now your outside is 12 and your inside is 9. What's 12 plus 9 or 12 minus 9? Does that ever make 31? No. So 9 and 4, we need a 31, but right now 12 and 9 doesn't make it. So this cancels out 9 and 4, but that doesn't necessarily mean that those two numbers are wrong, because do you see that it is different when I put the 4 here and the 9 there? It's different because of that 3. Because now what's your outside? Now my outside is 27. And my inside is 4. Does 27 and 4 make 31? Yes, it does. These will both be plus. And so even though 9 and 4 didn't work, when you have a number out in front, the outside and inside, it affects that. So the order does matter. In level 1, the order never mattered. But in level 3, if your numbers are different, the order could matter. So it's just a danger of a student tried 9 and 4, didn't work, and then they don't try it ever again. While 9 and 4 in this case is different than 4 and 9. But this is a good strategy. Put down what you know. Oh, man. Put down what you know. Try something. If it doesn't work, make a note that you tried something that doesn't work. The worst case scenario is you try something that was supposed to work, but you make a mental math mistake while you're trying it, and then you really get stuck. So that can be a danger as well. All right, let's check how you did on these other ones. We could have Only one option for your first one, 2x and x. 21. There's a couple of options here. 7 and 3. 3 and 7 will be different. 1 and 21. 21 and 1 would be different. What would you like to try first? 3 and 7. So if I put a 3 here and a 7 there, my outside is 14, my inside is 3. Does 14 and 3 work? No. So I'm going to put 3 and 7 and erase it. I tried it, it didn't work. How about 7 and 3? My outside now is 6x, my inside is 7x. Does 6x and 7x make 13x? Yes. So one of the huge benefits of factoring is you will strengthen your mental math skills better than they currently are, because you're going to be doing a lot of mental math and thinking about it as you go through. And finally, 5x squared, 5x, and x. That part is easy. But now, we need to get 82. Yes?
How about 16 and 2?
16 and 2. If I try 16 and 2, my outside is 10, my inside is 16. 10 and 16 give me 26. So I can go right now and put 16 and 2 and put a line through it that it doesn't work in that order. Okay? But something, wow, I wanted a little eraser. That was a very big eraser. There we go. Something about this number is also a hint. You see 82 is big, okay? I need a big number. How am I going to get a big number? Well, this 5 has to hit something over here, okay? 32 is 8 times 4, but if I put an 8 here, 5 times 8 only gets me 40. I really need to get close to 80. So I like the 16 and the 2. Let's put the 16 there and the 2 here. Because now this 5 times 16, 5 times 10 is 50, 5 times 6 is 30, 50 and 30, that makes 80. I've got 80 on my outside, 2 on my inside. And sure enough, we've got an answer that works. Okay? The next level we're going to do is a level 1 question that looks like a level 3 question. Okay? So these ones are going to be a little bit of a challenge. And we're going to talk about, I'm going to get you to do this one and get the answer. And most of you will get a mostly right answer. 3x squared plus 15x plus 18, but not the complete right answer. I'll give you 2 of them. I love playing with your minds. That's what I'm doing right now. This one is going to play with your mind a little. Doesn't seem super hard, and I bet you most of you will get it mostly right, but not completely right. First of all, I want to go through some mostly right solutions that you guys did. How many people started this way with 3x and x? Good. And then you went to 18, okay? And you were like, let's see, how could we do this with 18 and still get 15? Does
How about 6 and 3?
How about 6 and 3? Yeah? Okay. So, if I do this, and I have plus signs here, does my last one give me 18? Does my outside give me 6? 9 and 6 make 15. Okay? Now, did anybody do 2 and 9? Does that work? No. 2 and 9, because that would be 27. How about 9 and 2? Did anybody have this one? 3x plus 9 and x plus 2. Does it work? Yes. So does this one have 2 answers that work? Yes. But they're both not right yet. And the reason they're both not right yet is that in here, there's something in common. So in the very first factoring that we did 2 days ago was this idea of if something is in common, you can pull that out. So in this first one, and I'm going to put an arrow and do it here in blue, if I pull out a 3, I don't know why this plus went away. If I pull out a 3 out of this thing that I've underlined in blue, can you see that I would get 3 times x plus 2? And then I still have that x plus 3 at the end. And in this one, I'm going to underline it in green. If I pull out a 3 out of there, then I would get x plus 3 and x plus 2. You see that the blue answer and the green answer are now the same. That is the complete answer. Your first step is mostly right. The second step is completely right. However, the easiest way to do this one, and I'm going to show you in purple, is to first notice that there's a 3 in common in all of them. And this is why it is a level 1 question disguised as a level 3 question. If you see that there's a 3 in each of them and do that first, I'm going to take out the 3. That would just leave me with x squared here, 5x there, and a 6 at the end. And then what's left inside the brackets is just a level 1 factoring question. Keep the 3, and now put your 2 sets of brackets. If your first one's an x squared, is that pretty easy to get x and x? If last one's a 6, 3 and 2 with plus and plus. And now that purple one is the same as the green and the blue. But the green and the blue, we did level 3 factoring first, and then had to take out a common factor. Okay? If you always look for a common factor first, you can reduce level 3 questions sometimes down to level 1 questions. That's what happens in these cases. Is there a common factor in all of these ones? Yes. That would be a 2. So if I take out that 2, here I'll scroll up. If I take out the 2, that would leave me with x squared plus 6x plus 8. And now, This is level 1 factoring. To get x squared would be x and x. Any guesses what I should do to get the 8 and the outside and inside to get 6?
2 and 4.
And do you see now that at level 1, 4 and 2 and 2 and 4 would be exactly the same, right? Because your outside is 2x, your inside is 4x. I could even give you one of these. So, right, if I do you know what's mental math? It's mental math to quickly write one down, and I hope it works. So sometimes I write it down quickly. It might not work. And some of you noticed it in the homework, one of the homework ones or one of the notes ones. You were trying to figure it out for like half an hour, only to find out that the answer to that one was some of them are not possible. Those are frustrating because you spend a lot of time on one trying everything possible only to find out it's not possible.
This might mean we're gonna get extra time on our quizzes because some of the questions you're gonna give us are gonna be impossible.
No. No to the extra time, but possible that they could be impossible. You just have to get really good at your mental math. Oh yes. This is a level 2 question disguised as a level 4 question. We haven't even done level 4 questions. But as you can guess, level 4 questions are still with numbers out in front, but now you could add the negatives. Can you see that there's a 5 in common? 5 times what is 70? 5 times 12 is 60. 14.
Excuse the interruption. Would anyone on shuttle 2 for the blood drive please come down to the cafeteria now? Anyone who's on shuttle 2 for the blood drive, please come to the cafeteria.
So once we take the 5 out, now this factoring becomes easy because your first one is an x squared, which has to be x and x. Your last one is a 14. I'm going to go 7 and 2. And I need the middle to be negative 5. So you see that we want to make our inside negative 7, our outside plus 2. This comes up and it'll trick you because you get so used to level 3 and we're about to do level 4 questions that you go right into the harder factoring first. But it's always important if there's something in common. It's not wrong if you take what's in common out at the end, but it's easier if you take out what's in common at the beginning. And what's going to happen on your quizzes and tests is I'm going to make all levels mixed together. So you might get different ones at different times. So you have to be like, what are the strategies? So strategy, number 1, always look for a common factor first. Here, I have a common factor of 3 in each of them. Pull that out. Then if you still have a trinomial, then you can see what level it is, level 1, 2, 3, or 4. And see where you go from there. We haven't done any true level 4s yet. I'll give you a couple. So, there's a level 4. Like these ones, these last ones here that we just did. So what we looked for was when we look at all three terms, I see the 3, the 15, and the 18, and I'm like, hey, I could divide all of those by 3. That's called a common factor. So what I did is I said, I'm going to, in this purple arrow, take that 3 out to begin with. If I take the 3 out of the 3x squared, I'm just left with the x squared. If I take the 3 out of the 15, I'm just left with the 5. And if I take the 3 out of the 18, I'm just left with the 6. Then this part underlined in blue is a level 1 factoring number. I keep the 3 out in front, but then I set up my brackets and go x times x is x squared. My last one's 3 and 2 make 6, and my outside and inside make 5. But by taking out that common factor first, it just meant I had to do a level 1 factoring. If I started it off, which we did in the black, as level 3 factoring, it's mostly right. Both of these black answers are right, but both of them have a part, which I underlined once in blue and once in green, that part still has a common factor. So then you would have to take the common factor out at the end. So we're always looking for that common factor idea. Because sometimes we miss it at the beginning, then we should check our answer at the end to make sure none of our factors have something in common, because then we would have to take that out at the end. Does that make more sense? Yes.
Would we get marks taken off if we did the, if we put like the blue or green?
No. Because sometimes you don't, like, you get so used to, like, whichever level you're on, you get so used to just jumping right into it, okay? And if you jump right into it, again, what I'd say is when you're done, check if there's something in common. You're like, oh, there's still a 3 in common. I did this the harder way. It's not wrong. You'll still get full marks if you do it that way, but at the end, you sort of tell yourself, oh, I could have done this with the easier math. There's 3 level 4s. And I'll put down 1 level 5 if you want to play around with the level 5. I'll put down 1 tricky level, level 4. All right, let's see how you guys did. First one, did you get? First of all, look, does it have anything in common? No. So we have level 4 factoring. What makes level 4 factoring? There's a number in front and you have some negatives. So it's basically the same as level 3, but you might be subtracting this time. So now with 24, what are some options for 24? 24 and 1, 8 and 3, 6 and 4. So sometimes there's lots of options. I hope you can see that 24 and 1 is like not a good choice. My outside and inside will not even get close to 1. Okay, so, but maybe, so my gut feeling is 24 and 1 isn't going to be good. What do you want to try first, 8 and 3 or 6 and 4? 8 and 3? So now, if I put my 8 here and 3 here, can you see that your outside is 9x and your inside is 8x? Does that ever give you 1? Yes. If you were subtracting, a 9x and an 8x would give you 1. Now we want a negative 1. So our 9x will have to be the negative, and the 8x would have to be positive. So you see how we sort of figure out the plus and minus right at the end. And again, part of the strategy is trying things that work or don't work. Probably, before I went to 8 and 3, I think my gut reaction, because this was a 1, I kind of have a gut feeling maybe I should try 6 and 4 because they're close together. Did anybody have that as a strategy and sort of try those ones first? Okay? And then when you tried 6 and 4, just no way that you could put them that they really worked. So then you would have been like, okay, 6 and 4 doesn't work. What should I try next? What I really like about the method of trying things, even if they don't work, factoring is not necessarily something that the first thing you do is always going to work, but everything that you try increases your mental math skills. And over time, your brain will get quicker at telling yourself like, oh, you should try this one first. And you'll start getting it more often on your first try, what's going to work. Second one, do they have anything in common? No. So we have to, it's going to be 2x and x. You want to go with 5 and 5 or 25 and 1? 5 and 5 is the first good choice. Okay. Now my outside is 10. My inside is 5. Does that make 5? Yes, if I subtract. I want a negative 5. So you see that I would want to make my outside negative 10. And my inside plus 5. Did you see in the third one I put a common factor in? They all can be divided by 3. So if you saw that, this is going to be the easiest way. Take out the 3 first. X squared minus 6x plus 5. And then it's level 2 factoring. X and x. To get the 5, it's going to have to be 5 and 1. And now when it's an x and x one, it doesn't matter if you have 5 and 1 or 1 and 5. Right? Because there's just x's. Now my outside is 1x, my inside is 5x. I need negative 6, I would need a negative 5x and a negative 1x. Double check that. Does that still give me my positive 5 at the end? It does. Did anybody get the level 5 one? All right. So, just tell me your answer. We'll check if it works.
I got 6x plus 5. And then x minus 8.
X minus 8. First check. Do his first ones match up with the 6x squared? Yes, they do. Do his last ones match up with the negative 4? Okay? So this is, when you are trying a level 5, that's what you're mainly trying to do. You're trying to get at least your first ones to work and your last ones to work. Then, after you've got your first and your last ones to work, it's a check. does it work out that the outside and the inside make negative 43? And they do. What makes this one a level 5 is the fact that the first number in levels 3 and 4, I didn't do the blue one. In level 3 and 4, except for the blue one, I always started you off with a prime number. And what that means is that if you have a prime number, that's more 2. If you have a prime number, your only option is 2x and x. Agreed? With the 6, now you have more options. How many people started this level 5-1 and started with 2x and 3x? And no matter what you try with 2x and 3x, it doesn't work. Terribly frustrating. So then, after you try everything with 2x and 3x, you're like, well, maybe I should try 6x and 1x. Which is partially why I put the blue one on here. I got so excited about level 5 there, I forgot the blue one. The blue one is a little bit tricky because it starts off with a 16. And that 16 has lots of options. 4 and 4, 16 and 1, 8 and 2. But this is still considered a level 4 because the last number is prime. So up till now, we always did the first one first, and then we thought about the last one second. It really doesn't matter if you do the first or the last one first. In this case, the 16 causes me problems because there's lots of options. But can you see that your last one has to be a 1 and a 1? And if you start with that 1 and the 1, now when you go to your 16, I hope you can see that 8 and 2 make your outside and inside 10. So this is still considered a level 4 question because the last number is prime. So level 3 and 4 questions, you'll have a number out in front, and either your front number or your last number will be a prime number so that you only have one option somewhere. Having only one option makes it a little bit easier, as opposed to the level 5 one, where there are just so many options. So the more options, the harder it gets. And there's going to be some techniques that I'll show you, but some of you will like to just do these techniques all the way through. And in fact, for the most part, you only get level 5 questions a couple of times in grade 10, and then in grade 11 and grade 12, most of the questions stay at levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you get some of your hardest factoring right now. When you first learn the techniques, they're like, okay, we'll do all the hardest ones now, and you never have to factor those hard ones again, even once you get to AP Calculus. AP Calculus, they're like mostly level 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so take out your notes. And I will be nice and show you the answer. You need notes. I'll be nice and show you the answer for that second one. That it's not possible.